Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances and Dandavat Pranam. I invite you to the early morning short Bhagavatam class organized by ISKCON Radha Govinda Temple, Kulai, Mangaluru. Indeed, there is a special invitation by His Grace, Sri Ramanistakas Prabhuji. We'll begin with the prayers, and prayers are very important because unless we understand the meaning of what we are learning, there serves no purpose. And it's only the mercy of the Lord that can allow us to understand what He means by the words that He uses. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitanena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udpatakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagar Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagar Lita Shri Vishakhanvitasya हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे प्लीज फॉलो मी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम्
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire.
शृणतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
Shurvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana
हृदयन्तस्तोयभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरस्तताम्
Kadyantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam
नश्च प्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया
Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
Uttamashloke
Bhakti
Bhaktir
Bhavati
Bhavati
Naistiki.
Naistiki.
We are gathering daily early morning to read Bhagavatam, to worship the Supreme Personality, Lord Krishna, who can bestow us with the Istiki Bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, Chapter 5, Narada Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Today's verse is beautiful verse and virtually Srila Prabhupada is taking the whole class in the purport itself, but it's beautifully and very nicely written. So it would be worthwhile to pay attention and understand it well, especially as we all had the questions which we did answer, and it appears that whatever answers we had were right. Verse number 36. Subbarao Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavат Pranam Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Shall I read Prabhuji?
Please go ahead. You are our champion.
Shri Daksha Uvacha Aho asadho sadhunam sadhulingena svastvaya asadvakaryarpakanam bhikshormarga pradarshitaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Venkata Narasimha Rao Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sri Daksha Uvacha Aho Asadho Sadhunam Sadhulingena Nastvaya Asadhvakari Arbakanam Bhikshormarga Pradarsitaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji, how are you? Fine?
Fine, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandvat Pranams. Everything fine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Daksha Uvacha. Aho sadho sadhunam sadhulingena nastvaya asadvakarya arbhakanam vishor marga pradasitaha. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Madhumay Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
प्रभुजी प्रणाम प्रभुजी हरे कृष्ण ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो असाधो साधूनां साधुलिंगेन नस्त्वया असाध्वकार्य अर्भकाणां भिक्षोर्मार्गः प्रदर्शितः. थैंक यू प्रभुजी हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you. Usha Dayavati Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji.
कृष्ण प्रभुजी प्रणाम प्रभुजी. सॉरी प्रभुजी. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो असदो साधूनां साधुलिंगेन नस्त्वया असदो अकारि अर्भाकनां भिक्षोर्मार्ग प्रतिष्ठिता. थैंक यू प्रभुजी हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you. Chitra Mohini Devi Dasi ji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी प्रणाम प्रभुजी. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो असाधो साधूनां साधुलिंगेन स्त्वया अस्वादकार्य हर्बकाणां भिक्षोर्मार्ग प्रदर्शितः. थैंक यू प्रभुजी.
Thank you very much. Pushpa Yashomati Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, you are muted. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी प्रणाम प्रभुजी श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो असाधु साधूनां साधुलिङ्गेन नस्त्वया असाधु अगारि अर्पकाणां विकेशार्मार्ग प्रदर्शितः हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी थैंक यू
Thank you. Pran Nandini Madhvi Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
प्रणाम प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री दक्ष उवाच ओहो असाधु साधूनां साधु लिंगेन नस्तया असाधु अकार्य अर्भकाणाम् अभिक्षु भिक्षुर्मार्गः प्रदर्शितः हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी थैंक यू प्रभु जी
Thank you. Madhu Soni Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्रीदक्ष उवाच अहो असाधो साधूनां साधुलिङ्गेन नस्त्वया असाध्वकार्य अर्भकाणां भिक्षो मार्गः प्रदर्शितः थैंक यू प्रभु जी हरे कृष्ण
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Vijaya Kumari Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणव प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो असाधु साधूनां साधुलिङ्गेन न त्वया असात्वकाना विशोर्मार्ग प्रदर्शित थैंक यू प्रभु जी
Thank you very much. Revati Ratnangi Devi Dasi ji.
हरे
Hare Krishna
कृष्ण प्रभु
Mataji.
जी
Dandavat pranam.
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो असोद साधूना साधुलिङ्गेन नस्तवया अस्तावकार्यभर्काणां भिक्षो मार्ग प्रदर्शितः हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी थैंक यू
Thank you. Thank you. Uttama Padma Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री दक्ष उवाच अहो साधूना साधूनां साधुलिङ्गेन नस्त्वया असाध्वकार्य अद्भकाणां भिक्षुमार्गः प्रदर्शितः हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी
Thank you, Uttama Padma Devi Dasi ji. Can you read synonyms for us, Mataji?
yes प्रभु जी sure synonyms Sri Daksha Uvacha, Prajapati Daksha said, Aho asado, O greatly dishonest non-devotees, Sadhunam, of the society of devotees and great sages, Sadhu Lingena, wearing the dress of a saintly person, Na unto us, Taya, by you, Asadu, dishonesty, Akari, has been done, Arbakanam, of poor boys who were very inexperienced, Bhakti Bhikshu Marga, the path of the beggar or mendicant sannyasi, Pradashitaha, shown. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for reading synonyms. Translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prajapati Daksha said, Alas, Narad Muni, you wear the dress of a saintly person, but you are not actually a saint. Indeed, although I am now in Grahastha life, I am a saintly person. By showing my sons the path of renunciation, you have done me an abominable injustice. We had yesterday learned up to Daksha coming to know the facts that his both sets of sons, Aryasvas and Savalasvas, were renounced and were left the material life. This is when Daksha got angry. He was virtually in a kind of a state of a shock, and That's when he falls down and speaks. So this is what we hear is his speech or explanation. It's quite interesting. We'll go one by one. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Sanyasasira alpa chidra sarvo loke gaya. In society, one will find many sannyasis, vanprasthas, grahasthas, and brahmacharis. But if all of them properly live in accordance with their duties, they are understood to be sadhus. That's the definition of a sadhu. Prajapati Daksha was certainly a sadhu because he had executed such great austerities that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, had appeared before him. Nevertheless, he had a fault-finding mentality. He improperly thought Narada Muni to be asadhu or non-saintly because Narada had foiled his intentions. Desiring to train his sons to become grahasthas fully equipped with knowledge, Daksha had sent them to execute austerities by Narayana Saras. Narada Muni, however, taking advantage of their highly elevated position in austerity, instructed them to become Vaishnavas in the renounced order. This is the duty of Narada Muni and his followers. They must show everyone the path of renouncing this material world and returning home back to Godhead. Prajapati Daksha, however, could not see the exaltedness of the duties Narada Muni performed in relation to his sons. Unable to appreciate Narada Muni's behavior, Daksha accused Narada of being a sadhu. The first aspect is that he is complaining that you are not a gentleman or not a sadhu. The words Bhikshor Marga, the path of the renounced order, are very significant in this regard. A sannyasi is called Tridandisa Bhikshu because his duty is to beg alms from the homes of grahasthas and to give the grahasthas spiritual instructions. A sannyasi is allowed to beg from door to door, but a grahastha cannot do so. Grahasthas may earn their living according to their 4 divisions of spiritual life. A Brahmana Grahastha may earn his livelihood by becoming a learned scholar and teaching people in general how to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He may also assume the duty of worship himself. Therefore, it is said that not only Brahmanas may engage in deity worship, and they may accept as prasada whatever people offer to deity. Although a Brahmana may sometimes accept charity, it is not for his personal maintenance, but for the worship of the deity. Thus, a Brahmana does not stalk anything for his future use. Similarly, Kshatriya may collect taxes from the citizens, and they must also protect the citizens, enforce rules and regulations, and maintain law and order. Vaishyas should earn their livelihood through agriculture and cow protection. And Sudras should maintain their livelihood by serving the three higher classes. Unless one becomes Brahmana, one cannot take sannyasa. Sannyasis and sannyasis and brahmacharis may beg alms door to door, but a grahastha cannot. Prajapati Daksha condemned Narada Muni because Narada, a brahmachari who could beg from door to door, had made sannyasis of Daksha's sons who were being trained to be grahasthas. Daksha was extremely angry at Narada because he thought that Narada had done him a great injustice. According to Daksha's opinion, Narada Muni had misled Daksha's inexperienced sons, Asadva, Akari, Arbakarnam. Daksha regarded his sons as innocent boys who had been misled when Narada showed them the renounced order of life. Because of all these considerations, Prajapati Daksha charged Narada Muni, charged that Narada Muni was a sadhu and should not have adopted the dress of a sadhu. Sometimes a saintly person is misunderstood by grahasthas, especially when he instructs their young sons to accept Krishna consciousness. The above discussion now comes in a practical terms with us all when we enter Krishna consciousness or someone connected to us enters Krishna consciousness. Sometimes a saintly person is misunderstood by grahastha, especially when he instructs their young sons to accept Krishna consciousness. Generally, a grahastha thinks that unless one enters grahastha life, he cannot properly enter the renounced order. If a young man immediately adopts the path of the renounced order in accordance with the instructions of Narada or a member of his disciplic succession, his parents become very angry. This same phenomenon is occurring in our Krishna conscious movement because we are instructing all the young boys in the Western countries to follow the path of renunciation. We allow Grahastha's life, but a Grahastha also follows the path of renunciation. Even Grahastha has to give up so many bad habits that his parents think his life has been practically destroyed. We allow no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication, and consequently, the parents wonder how, if there are so many numbers of life can be positive. One's life can be positive. Sorry, if there are so many no's, one's life can be positive. In the Western countries, especially, these four prohibited activities practically constitute the life and soul of the modern population. Therefore, parents sometimes dislike our movement, just as Prajapati Daksha disliked the activities of Narada and accused Narada of dishonesty. Nevertheless, although parents may be angry at us, we must perform our duty without hesitation because we are in the disciplic succession from Narada Muni. And this is the last paragraph. People addicted to householder life wonder how one can give up the enjoyment of Grahastha life, which is a concession for sex enjoyment, simply to become a mendicant in Krishna consciousness. They do not know that the householder's concession for sex life cannot be regulated unless one accepts the life of a mendicant. The Vedic civilization, therefore, enjoins that at the end of one's 50th year, one must give up household life. This is compulsory. However, because modern civilization is misled, householders want to remain in family life until death, and therefore they are suffering in such cases, the disciples of Narada Muni advise all the members of the younger generation to join the Krishna conscious movement immediately. There is nothing wrong in this. As Premakishwari Mataji always says, Srila Prabhupada has taken virtually the whole class, very beautifully narrating the arguments that we all had day before yesterday. That who is right? Narada Muni is right or Daksha is right? Daksha had been instructed to produce the progeny, and so he endeavored two sets of children, Aryasvas and Savarasvas, and he instructed them to produce children. He therefore gave them a knowledge and put them into austerities so that ultimately they come back and have children as a grahastha. However, when Narada Muni comes across these two sets of children, he realizes that they are virtually ripened and ready to leave the material world. They have a knowledge, they have a renunciation, they're very pious, they are disciplined, and they have full control of their mind over their body. Short of an ideal situation where if a straight path of Bhakti Marg is followed, they would go back to Godhead in the pure, loving, devotional service to the Lord. Mind you, this is an ultimate achievement and the ultimate goal of every soul that lives on earth. And so he instructs them, and both sets of children follow the instruction. Obviously, they must have thought about it. And obviously, they must have found good reasons to follow what Narada said. However, as father or elder, Daksha is interpreting the whole process as an injustice, that too often kind of an abominable injustice. As he had children, they are his children. And you know, all of us, how we behave in the material world. We consider our children as our properties. We, in fact, consider our wives as our properties, where, in fact, whatever we owe and we say we have it is not ours, because as soon as our soul leaves our body, we get completely disconnected from the present circumstances surrounding and the world. And so Daksha keeps on having grudges with Narada. Narada feels that he has done his duties and he is supposed to do his duty. And his duty is to take those who are fit back to Godhead. He visits the rehabilitation center of the earth for that purpose and around the material manifestation with the purpose of generating more devotees. By generating devotees, he is obliging devotees to come into a phase of Sat-Chit Anand and keep serving the Lord all the time in a blissful situation. Since Daksha thinks that he has taught his children the necessary knowledge to perform austerities, they are simple and obedient young children. And because they are simple, obedient, and disciplined, Narada Muni, in his absence, taught them renunciation and took them away from him. The feeling of taking them away from him in a material world is a big feeling. That gives you a feeling of defeat, and man can tolerate anything except the defeat. The moment he realizes that he is defeated, he loses the entire self of himself and he collapses. So Daksha felt that it was his defeat, and that's why he said and interpreted it as Narada being a sadhu, though he is wearing clothes of a saint, and that he has acted contrary to the general acceptance of Vedic knowledge. Srila Prabhupada nicely correlates this situation with the present world. He says that when we enroll young people into Krishna consciousness, or rather, in a good word, initiate them into Krishna consciousness, we instruct them for 4 regulatory principles. The most unfortunate part is in the Western world, these 4 regulatory principles, the life is exactly contrary to that. And these are the main 4 things which makes or constitutes the main portion of life. You would surprise, but I have lived there for a decade. And even a 70-year-old man would be sweating in gym to keep himself look nice with his body. Because ultimately he's just thinking like a 20-year-old boy who the next lady is. And thus spends all their time in decorating these material body. Because they all think that they themselves are nothing but the material body. So everything is worked around, laid down around, and being operated, keeping the body in the center of the activities. And when body is in the center of activities, even a small wrinkle that develops somewhere on the face or the arms, they're worried. They rush to the cosmetic person, try and get rid of it. We here very easily accept the wrinkle appearing as part of the process and never worry about that. Whereas in the West, a person getting a gray hair or a wrinkle, they get frightened like hell. I still remember, you see, when I see a patient here and they have some restriction of the shoulder movement in the early 60s or so, I tell them you're getting older and these are the signs of getting older. You're going to get eventually a frozen shoulder. They accept it and say that, fine, doctor, tell me how to get rid of it. That doesn't startle them because the age is accepted and body is not considered as a soul thing, even to an ordinary person. He has some knowledge of the soul. Whereas in the West, they have no concept of this soul. They call it a soul, but do not understand anything about it. And if you call them that it's the age that is taking over, he gets frightened, gets angry, leaves your office as quickly as possible. So when Srila Prabhupada explains when you consider body as the main thing, the matter is alive, body is the identification, then eating meat, drinking alcohol, having sex with and as many and as quickly as possible, and gambling. They virtually gamble their life all around, looking for a buck, and for a buck, an American would do anything. So this is kind of a situation in the material world. It's a capitalist world where the money is everything. And so there, the life is centered around these four principles of having fun, eating meat, having sex, having gambling, etc. If you restrict these four activities, then obviously those who are living a material life would certainly feel that their word, their child, or their relative is being obstructed of living a normal life because they consider all these four factors as normal life. And the inference then is if you are not living a normal life, where is the life? Daksha is also thinking in the same line. Look at the difference of more than 7,000 years. But the thinking, interpretation, and issues remain the same. Be it Daksha or be his a father in the West. or a mother in the West. So how relevant Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is, you can understand from this purport. Daksha doesn't understand that what Narada Muni is doing is a very exaltedness. He is actually putting them into an exalted position. And that's probably a permanent exalted situation where they will be happy permanently and out of this cycle of birth and death and conditioned life. So, in spite of being offering them a great and big diamond, they still think a piece of iron is everything that matters. In spite of having a knowledge, in spite of being performing austerities, this is the situation of a son of Brahma. Then what would be our situation? We can understand. And probably that's the reason we can pardon them. The whole purport has been divided into 5 different paragraphs very wisely and nicely. See, the way the Srila Prabhupada writes things is also worth noticing and learning. In the first paragraph, he writes the difference between sadhu and asadhu, simply by describing Narada Muni's activities. And then subsequently in the second paragraph, he very nicely describes the Varnashram and Varnashram earnings, methods of earning in different Varnas. And the third one, he goes then into Narada's action being blamed for everything. Fourth paragraph describes the material world and the correlation of the material world with the Daksha and Narada issues. Very similarly, in the Krishna consciousness movement, when the young generation joins or initiates themselves into Krishna consciousness. And lastly, Srila Prabhupada does not stop punching a heavy blow at the present situation where grahasthas who are supposed to leave the world at the age of 50. What Srila Prabhupada means by leaving the world is not living the world, but entering into Vanaprasthashram and thereby living the concessions that has been given to Grahastha from 25 to 50 years, like he can have sex with his wife in a limited time, in a limited frame, for a purpose, that also is being taken away. And eventually, he has to enter sannyas ashram at the age of 75. He punches hard and says that in society, people remain grahastha until they die. And so they keep enjoying as much as possible from the material world. Now, if you are ultimately aiming and thinking of enjoying this material world, where is the question of detachment? Where is the question of spiritual transformation? And where is the question of thinking to go back to Godhead? And so, ultimately, he says that if nothing else, follow the Grahastha ashram with 4 regulatory principles and then take up the Vanaprastha at a right time in the action and behavior and thinking, though you believe in the same word, and sannyasashram or renunciation in thinking and action in the same word after 75. So that's the paragraph where it shows some solution to the present issue and the problem. It's a simple verse, but very nicely, elaborately described in the purport. Any question, any doubts, any commentary, any addition, please go ahead. Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
A small correction. The present
Yes.
Daksha Prajapati, what we are referring is son of Prachetas and Pramlocha.
Yes.
He is not son of
Sorry,
Brahma.
yes. I said Brahma. Sorry. Yes. You are right. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for that correction. I'm very happy for 2 reasons. Number 1, you corrected that. And number 2, you are very awake and listening to everything very carefully. Thank you. I appreciate both of it.
It's very difficult, Prabhuji, to not to be awake in your class because yours is so emphatic with nice, wonderful, clear diction.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Driving the point very, very strongly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, my dear friend. Thank you. If there are no further questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Usha Mataji. Go ahead.
So in my opinion, I feel as we give career guidance to all the students when they are at the school level, so once they go to college level, these things also must be kept open, like how Narada says, it is their option. So
Yes.
NND Prabhuji used to say, like the boys used to come and they'll say, we'll take up Krishna consciousness. After some time, what happens? The parents come and fight with the temple authorities and then say, how can you bring us over here, my children over here, all these things they used to say. That's what I'm just reminded of that. So it should be kept open because all of them don't want to get married, because now at the marriage level, many of the boys, even at the age of 35, 36 also, they don't get married, because once this option is given, they will make themselves ready for it. If I don't get this, like how Krishna gives option in the 12th chapter, what kind of bhakti you can do it, all the 6 options he gives, you can choose any one. So like that, this can also be given. This can be recommended at the college level, at the entry of the college level, because students must be exposed to all these things, just like a career guidance.
That's
Because then
very
we will be getting very good people and very good citizens, and our country can progress very well, because we are very rich in our culture. That's
Thank
what
you.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
you are absolutely right, Usha Mataji. And options must be given because, as they say and as we say, it is their life. I think most of the problems would be solved if the elders stop thinking, or the human being stops thinking that they possess someone. When I get a feeling that I possess my son, all the problems starts there. As a father, it is my duty to counsel and guide. The decision has to be his own. And so far as it is kept in that fashion, everything remains fine. In our profession, it's say in orthopedic surgery, we have at least 4 to 5 young boys who just finished MBBS. They come for a training for 3 to 4 years with us. And there are such 4 or 5 students every 6 months. They virtually spend their entire day with us. And they change themselves, transform themselves, because that's around 24th year, 24 to 28, they spend time with us and virtually with us all the time. And I always feel that the duty of a professor is to see that he gets people who are with open mind rather than training them in such a way that they become mini Prakash Parekh. So I don't want to create mini professors in them. I want to create a surgeon who will have open mind, who will always think the pros and cons, and then decide what is right and wrong. So these two principles, not possessing them and not creating out of children mini parents, that also would take a long way. Thank you, Usha Mataji, for that wonderful revelation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patita nama pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Koti Vaishnava Gita. Hare Krishna to everyone. Thank you very much for attending the class. All of you
Thank
have a
you.
wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Hare Krishna.